Good morning, everyone. This is Katie Novotny calling in from Premier Marketing. Wanted to thank each and every one of you for joining us this morning. We are so excited to have Thrivent Long-Term Care as our topic this morning. As we keep saying, there's more and more changes every time we turn around in the LTC market. We were extremely excited to have the opportunity to join with Newman LTC and have the Thrivent long-term care product now available through Premier. So that being said, we have Craig Roars this morning, who is the head of marketing of Newman Long-Term Care. He is working with Thrivent and has actually made Thrivent available to the independent distribution channel, such as Premier. One thing that you guys might know is we have had Thrivent on spreadsheets and everything else throughout the years, but truly it was a captive product. That being said, we now have the doors open and we have this product available to us. We also have Dean Anderson, who is the health products sales strategist for Thrivent. We thought it would be important to kind of look under the hood. Oftentimes we do a brief overview of products, but we just thought it would be a great opportunity to have Dean and Craig on the phone that we could really dive deep into this product and see where it might best fit your business. At that, I am going to turn it over to Craig, but as a reminder to everyone on the call, please type in your questions. We will be handling them as they come up along with at the end of the session. So with that being said, Craig, you ready to take it away?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Katie, and thank you everyone for joining us. For those who were on our past call about 2 months ago, I'm not going to be doing a real deep dive on the product this time because we've done that. Katie has a recording of that if you'd like that, and also please lean on the team at Premier for a lot of the questions on the Thrivent product. But I just wanted to give you a refresher on some of our key differentiators, just because with the recent changes that have happened in our marketplace, especially at the beginning of September, we've been having a lot more interest in Thrivent. You know, what does the product do? How does it look? How does it price? You know, what are the underwriting niches, things like that. So that's what I really wanted to focus on. We can, schedule another deep dive product review if people would like. You know, just reach out to Katie on that. But again, there's no better time to offer Thrivent than right now. Thrivent, beginning July 1st, started their largest, actually their first ever nationwide ad campaign. So this is going to raise brand awareness with clients everywhere. It's had full page ads in the Wall Street Journal. It's been on regular spots on the Today Show, Live with Kelly and Ryan, America's Got Talent. And they're doing this big brand awareness. So you're going to hear more and more people talking about Thrivent. So this is good that you have this now on your platform. So that being said, just a real quick refresher on some of Thrivent's differentiators. We're not going to go into a deep dive on this, but just some high level stuff to remind you where we're a great fit. So issue ages 18 to 79. As you know, many carriers now limit this to ages 40 to 75, so you can cover a lot on both sides of that spread. We have a 5-year rate guarantee built in. Most carriers no longer offer a rate guarantee, or maybe if they do, it's maybe a 3-year maximum. Our elimination period has a built-in shortcut. So instead of actual service days that some carriers provide, ours is 1 day of care in a week is going to satisfy 7 days of credit towards your elimination period. So we have a 1 = 7. We can also make that an even better shortcut by adding a waiver of elimination period for home care and adult daycare riders. So you can make for a 0 day here. But the biggest differentiators to me are Thrivent really allows you to do some robust plan design. So we can go, as you see here, all the way up to an 8-year benefit maximum. Many other carriers no longer do anything over 5 or maybe 6 years. And then in a similar vein, we can go all the way up to $15,000 a month benefit. So we can go from $1,500 up to $15,000 a month. So we can design some really, really robust plans here. We also offer a lot of flexibility when it comes to inflation. We can do your more traditional compounding inflation. At Thrivent, it's called an automatic inflation benefit. And here you can do 1%, 2%, 3%, and 5% compound are your options. And again, some differentiators, not a lot of carriers go below 3% compound. So that 1 and 2% are going to be partnership qualified in over 20 states. But then we also offer what's called a flexible increase benefit. This is going to be a buy-up option where each year you can buy up 5% additional benefit on your policy anniversary. And that is going to be priced at your attained age. There's not going to be any underwriting for that buy-up, but we do have a lot of options when it comes to that. Also, when it comes to riders, we have an additional cash benefit rider. So instead of an alternate cash benefit that some carriers have built into their plan, this is an additional cash benefit on top of your reimbursement. We can do a survivorship benefit. Our shared care benefit is incredible. You take that 8-year benefit maximum I mentioned earlier, you add the shared care rider to it for a couple. You now have the 16-year pool of benefits between the two of them. I like to call that the next best thing to an unlimited policy. We have that waiver of elimination period for home care and adult daycare rider, which is really affordably priced. I believe our pricing comes out to about 7% for that rider. With other carriers, it tends to run 9 or 10% to add that cost. And then another affordable option that we have is our return of premium upon death benefit, where it's going to return any premiums paid in minus claims paid when you die. And the reason this is priced affordably with Thrivent, we believe, is because it has to be, the rider has to be in force for 10 years before somebody could tap into that. But our return of premium, we can just design some really robust plans. And then the other great thing on top of all this is we have one of the few 10 pays on the traditional side. So that being said, we offer all these great features, but you might be wondering, where does Thrivent really fit? So we've been really competitive with singles, especially men across the board. With the recent changes with Mutual of Omaha at the beginning of September, we're now priced really competitively with couples, which I'll show you in just a moment with some Strategist numbers I ran. Again, that return of premium pricing is great. Younger couples, we're really competitive, always have been with younger couples. High net worth clients really appreciate this product because you can design some of those really robust plans that you might not be able to find elsewhere. Again, ages 18 to 79. Anytime carrier strength is important. Right now in the economy, people are really concerned when they're hearing about like large companies like Coca-Cola having to lay off like 4,000 employees or whatever it was. People are concerned about even the biggest companies out there. Well, when it comes to carrier strength, you can't get much stronger than Thrivent. We're A++ rated. We are incredibly well reserved. So carrier strength, look to Thrivent. But then some other places that you might want to take a look at us. Underwriting. Some underwriting niches that we found is, well, first off, there's a preferred health checklist in our underwriting guide. So this is going to give you a real clear picture of what rate class that somebody might come back with. Plus, any of our underwriting pre-qualifications can be done either by phone or email with LTCi, LTC Group, who does all of our underwriting, claims processing, and pre-screening. And then, according to Broker World's long-term care survey in July, Thrivent issues about 4% more cases at preferred than our leading competitors. So when you're looking at somebody and you're trying to decide which direction to go, take a look at Thrivent there. Some other health issues, you might want to look at Thrivent. We'll take a look at a history of severe anxiety or depression based on stability. We'll look at some conditions like arthritis, AFib, or heart bypass, depending on residual effects and stability. With cancers, it's going to depend on stage, treatment, and stability. But one example I like to share with people is they'll consider somebody recovered and treatment-free for stage 4 Hodgkin's. I know that's a no-no with some carriers right there. Type 2 diabetes, this is a big one. A1C can go up to 8.5. So with Thrivent, they're looking for stability of meds or insulin. So when you look in the underwriting guide, it doesn't list a maximum number of units for insulin. So if insulin is being used, you want to discuss it with the pre-qual line before you submit an app. And then this is another biggie. Thrivent won't automatically decline someone just based on other carrier declines. Now, that being said, they're not going to just take any decline. So any past decline that you run into should be run past the underwriters on that pre-screening line that I mentioned. Some other areas to look at Thrivent: 1035 exchanges for somebody wanting to fund their policy using existing life insurance. Since Thrivent has nationwide pricing, not state-specific pricing, we can be a lot more competitive in some states like Florida or California, where others may have state-specific rates. We offer one of the few partnership policies in the state of Indiana. And then just Thrivent, I like to explain this, that we have the experience without maybe some of the baggage. So Thrivent began in long-term care back in 1987, starting as two separate fraternal organizations, AAL and Lutheran Brotherhood. Both sold other carriers, both sold their own policies for several years until they merged into Thrivent in 2001. But what this means is Thrivent has over 30 years of experience in selling long-term care policy and that large, that world view of how everything works, but they don't have maybe some of that baggage that comes from the incorrect lapse assumptions and claims and interest rates and underwriting missteps that some of the other carriers made in the late 90s and early 2000s. And then I think this is another cool benefit with Thrivent. So while most carriers will let you decrease benefits, not many will let you increase or add benefits after issue. And so you'll want to take a look at the field resource guide for full details on some of these options, but some places where you can make some adjustments after issue. Elimination period, you can either go for a longer or shorter elimination period. Benefit multiplier, you can decrease or increase. Your maximum monthly benefit, you can decrease or increase. Your inflation rider, you can decrease or increase that. Plus things like the cash benefit or waiver of home care elimination period riders. You can either drop or add those. So again, I think that's a really cool feature in that you might have somebody who buys a policy now and then 3 years from now has a family event. They see, you know, the actual effects happen in their family, and now they're like, okay, the policy that I bought maybe isn't going to be enough. What can I do? Do I have to go buy another policy somewhere else, or can I add to what I already have with Thrivent? Well, you may be able to add with Thrivent. So now what I do want to share, because this is some really great information, and I have to change my screen here. One moment. So this is based on some new rates that came out with Mutual of Omaha September 1 in 32 states. Just some real quick comparisons. If you want to see some actual, you know, side-by-side stuff, you can work with Katie and the team over at Premier. But we found that we are now very competitive in many situations. So in this scenario, I try to keep things just really basic and simple. We're looking at couples, both applying and approved, and then at single males and single females. And I compared Mutual's secure solution and Thrivent. As Mutual's custom solution, as many of you know, it's already more expensive than the secure solution, and it's also harder to compare things really apples to apples. So looking at all things being equal, standard health, I ran Minnesota rates because that's where I live, $3,000 a month benefit, 3-year plan, shared care rider, so you have 6 years total between the couple, 3% compound inflation, just base plans here, no additional riders. As you can see, Mutual's biggest changes in pricing were to their couples discount, their shared care pricing, and their 3% compounding inflation. So that's where you're seeing these differences. So with couples, you can see that Thrivent can come in less expensive by anywhere from $83 to $413 per year, depending on those ages. And if you really wanted to make this more apples to apples, you might take a look at, again, custom solution with Mutual of Omaha, as Thrivent has a built-in joint waiver of premium with our shared care, and that's not available with Mutual's secure solution, and it is going to be an additional cost rider with custom solutions. Single males, Again, you can see we're really competitive, although Mutual of Omaha does have an edge at some of those older ages. And then single females, we're again very competitive here. So some other insights based on this 3-year benefit period, which I'll let you know accounts for about 46% of Thrivent sales. When you're looking at things apples to apples, Thrivent's rates without inflation protection are going to be more expensive than Mutual of Omaha. As your inflation rates increase, Thrivent's rates become less expensive than Mutual of Omaha's rates. And then our rates are much lower in a lot of instances than Mutual's at the lower issue ages. Most evident in younger married couples. And this is because we have now a larger discount for 2 married applying and an issued than Mutual of Omaha, where we have a 20% discount versus their 15%. So again, this is looking at Mutual of Omaha's secure solution, the less expensive option. So it's not going to allow the same customization or those 0.25% increases that you might be able to find with the custom solution product. But again, it's a great story, I think, right now, in that we have a great product, very stable, and we can do a lot now with pricing. So one final thing before I hand it over to Dean, but I just wanted to refresh everyone on a key thing with Thrivent here. So again, we are a fraternal benefit organization. So what that is a insurer that's not stock owned, it's member owned, and as a fraternal, we have to have our members all have a common bond. So with Thrivent, our common bond is that we serve Christians. So as such, there is one and only one Christian related question on the application. It's one of the very first questions, so you don't get all the way through before knowing whether you qualify or not. And the question is very simple. It's just this: select one of the following. I am a Christian seeking to live out my faith, or I am the spouse of a Christian who seeks to live out his or her faith. So that's it. There's no questions about what church someone goes to or anything like that. And because of how the question is worded, you can actually have people from mixed faith marriages, or sometimes people without faith, get coverage with Thrivent as long as they are married to a Christian living out their faith. But if you're not sure how to position this with clients, especially if you're unsure of their faith, the wording you can use is here on the screen, and I'll make sure Katie has a copy of a flyer we have called Thrivent 101. It lays it out really well. You just say, you know what, I've got a couple different solutions that we can discuss today. One I'd like to show you is from a fraternal benefit insurance company called Thrivent. They're a top-rated financial services organization that was formed to serve Christians. So I don't know if that's an option for you, and you know what, if not, that's okay, because I have a couple other options we can discuss. And at that point, stop talking, because they will let you know whether you can proceed, or they'll say, you know what, that's not going to work for me. What else do you have? And it works really well. Nobody gets offended if you presented it this way, because you're putting them in charge of whether you can continue the conversation. So on a related note, while you do have to be Christian or married to one to buy the product, you do not have to be Christian to sell Thrivent's product. So that being said, I just wanted to refresh you on those benefit features, and I want to hand this over to Dean Anderson from Thrivent. Dean is actually the one who trained us in on the Thrivent product, so he can go, if you have some really detailed product questions, he's usually where I turn to if I don't know the answer to something. So Dean, why don't you take it away? Just let me know when you need me to advance a slide here.
All right. Thanks, Craig. Well, I don't know how much I can add to that. That was awesome. Appreciate being able to be with you guys today and talking about the Thrivent product. We feel very good, obviously, about our product, as Craig went through a lot of our strong points. Just a couple clarifications. The underwriting, the preferred, yeah, we do issue about 20, depends on the run, but 25, sometimes 30% of our applications are issued preferred. So we feel very strongly, if you meet the checklist, that we can issue preferred. On the increases, so buying a policy, then making changes. Of course, if you increase it, you'd have to be subject to underwriting, but we are one of the only companies that allows you to do that with the same policy. So that's a pretty cool feature that we have. I think, Craig, if you go to like 12 or 13, you guys are pretty familiar with long-term care, obviously. I just kind of want to go through a couple scenarios of how we kind of talk about policy design with our different benefits and so on.
All right, 1 second here. I'm trying to answer that slide. One moment here.
No problem. And if there is any questions, I don't see anything in the chat right now, but
All right.
yeah, let's go all the way to the, keep going. We'll just go all the way to the premium one. That one, yep. All right, next one. Go to the next one if you can. So as Craig, and you guys know this, talking about, doing field underwriting ahead of time, our underwriters are available to take pre-screen calls, whether it be a call or an email, to discuss the case and make sure, we're quoting correctly and going to have a good experience for yourself and for the applicant. And then the next one, Craig. So if we let's look at, Craig already went through some pricing slides, but, kind of looking at some of the unique ways you can kind of design our product. So we look at a 56, 55-year-old, again, sticking with the 3-year benefit, shared care. One of the things is our flexible increase benefit rider. So if you hit, go forward, Craig. So with the flexible increase benefit rider, your premium is going to increase every year if you opt in. Again, it's automatic opt-in unless the client chooses not to purchase those. And in a lot of states, the FIB does qualify for partnership. You just have to exercise the right amount of options based on the state's requirements. But we like this because you can really design the benefits to meet a certain bucket of money or a premium threshold. So I'm going to exercise, the next 10 years, and then I'm going to stop because I want my premium then to be level, and I don't want to worry about increasing premiums while I'm in retirement. But it's going to increase at 5%. And again, for this type of pool of money, for this couple, Craig, if you hit the next button, that's affordable for a lot of people. And then as you guys know, using the break even and helping them understand that, George is going to get his money back in 7 months and 3 days. Do you believe that between now and age 85, you might need, care? And would it be 7 months? Most people are going to be reasonable and agree to that. So then from a financial standpoint, that's a nice thing. The other thing with the FIB rider, or the flexible increase benefit rider, is that if you deny 3 in a row, then that stops giving you options. But if you keep the flexible increase benefit rider on, come claim time, the benefit will start compounding at 5% again. So it's a pretty neat rider, and it gets you in at an affordable price. So if you compare that to Craig hitting the next slide, or the next thing, the traditional way of 3% AIB, that's going to be almost double your premium. So the FIB can get you in and get, an affordable, meaningful plan to begin with. And then, obviously we've got the 1%. Craig, if you hit the next one, you're somewhere in between, still affordable. Maybe they feel that that's giving them enough compounding, or it qualifies for partnership and gets them in that partnership at a reasonable cost. So a couple ideas there. The other idea that we've been talking a lot about with our advisors, with our career advisors, Craig, if you hit to the next one and kind of scroll through quickly again, and the next one, is just buying a bigger bucket of money. Again, 3% is great because it's not as expensive as 5. We used to always sell 5, right? But again, it takes 24 years for 3% to double. So again, if something happens between that time frame, maybe buying the bigger bucket of money might be a better deal. And again, we know claims histories, and we never can determine what's going to happen to a couple or a person. But, you know, if I have a $576,000 bucket of money, I'm feeling pretty comfortable that that's going to help that family pretty much weather most of what they're going to run into. So for under $5,000 a year, I can get a pretty good solution for this 56 and 55-year-old. And we're seeing that type of scenario increasing dramatically. Any questions that we had coming in on product or anything?
We actually have a couple questions, Dean.
Sure.
The first one is relating to, is this product available into New Jersey? So can you just briefly go over state availability?
Yeah, all states except for New York.
Perfect. Perfect. Another one is, does the 10-pay have a premium guarantee?
No, we have the 5-year rate guarantee for the first 5 years, but then after that, no. But once you make it through the 10 years, obviously, then we can never come back to you.
Another one is are there states that do not offer your 10-pay option?
No, it's available in all states except for New York.
I think we handled them for now. If people want to continue to type them in, we'd be happy to address them.
Yeah, great questions. And I think Craig has a partnership grid that, I don't know, Craig, if you share that.
Yep, we've gotten that to Katie.
Yeah, so
yes, we will be adding that to our summary and copy of this presentation.
Yeah, so, you know, the 1 and 2 and the FIB are pretty unique options and are available in a lot of states. You know, you just have to meet the FIB, the flexible increased benefit options taken for that. So that's kind of, you know, real high level, you know, a couple ideas on design. I mean, you guys are pretty strong in this, but, you know, plan B again, you know, if one gets declined, you know, what's that option? You guys want to talk about that ahead of time. You know, we talk with our advisors, you know, making sure that the insurable spouse takes the policy, you know, looking at other options for, you know, maybe they can get life insurance, maybe, you know, they can get an annuity or some type of scenario, just talking about that up front and making sure that, you know, we get coverage in place. As you guys know, you know, if one person is unhealthy, you know, it's so much more important for the healthy spouse to take the policy. So that's just, you know, a problem we've always had in the industry, you know, over the 30 years that I've been doing this. It's just an issue, but we want to make sure that we can get that coverage. And then, you know, thinking about shared care, as Craig mentioned, you know, our residual is built in. We do have a partial benefit that if the insured that is not on claim doesn't have any benefit left, so the other spouse used up all the benefit, they can purchase up to 2 years, up to age 85 at their attained age, if they choose to, so that they're not without coverage, or at least have that option to add to their benefit pool. I think that's what I had. I'm open for any questions.
So a couple more questions, Dean. It says here, are your rates based on 65 and 60 and 55? We have a gal here that has specifics. So can we address the gender-based pricing and then also attained age or actual age?
Okay, so we do gender-based pricing. The other question was attained age. So yes, we are current age, but we'll save age for 30 days. So we have a save age for 30 days, yep. And that's 30 calendar days. So we've had a couple, actually, it's interesting that this came up. We just had a case where it was like August 7th and they thought, well, September 7th. But, you know, again, depending on the number of days in a month, that might be, you know, it doesn't happen very often. And we're flexible, we'll work with people, but, you know, again, it's 30 days, not like August 7th to September 7th might be 31 days.
And then to clarify on that too, Dean, it will save the age for 30 days, but the application also has to be in. So it's not that you have 30 days to write it, and then, like some carriers will let you have, another couple of weeks or 30 days to get the app in after that sign date. It has to be into Thrivent by that 30th date.
Yep, exactly.
Nope. So a couple other things. Sorry, bear with me here. Tax deductibility. So I think maybe we're getting into a little some questions here because of the life insurance example as well. But they're asking if this long-term care would be tax qualified and have tax deductibility.
Yes, so we are a tax qualified product. Craig kind of mentioned the life insurance, but again, partial 1035s from a non-qualified annuity, we do accept those, and are continuing to make that process as simple as possible. But it is a more complicated process, but we do have a form to initiate that process and accept those cases of a non-qualified annuity. They have to be like owners. So sometimes there's a question with shared care, if George in this example owns the annuity, we can only do the partial 1035 for his premium. And then Penny would have to have her own annuity, again, because they're two separate policies, and they own each their separate policy. They're just connected with the shared care.
Perfect. Last question I can see is they're asking about new products. Is this the only long-term care product for Thrivent? Are we thinking there is going to be any kind of rate refresh or any kind of product revisions at this point?
Not currently, but as we all know in the industry right now, and we can read the headlines, interest rates are at a zero, and they seem to be being talked about to be kept there. But again, we as Thrivent being, as Craig kind of talked about, member owned, so we function like a mutual. You will see dividends on our illustration. Again, those are not guaranteed, and they'll subject to change, but you'll see those probably. The first thing that would go would be dividends being reduced on the illustration because of the interest rate environment. But every year we look at that and readjust based on the financials at that point. We, as a company, don't want to do a rate increase. That's the last thing. Again, if something were to happen with the interest rate environment continuing this way for a while, then we would do a rate refresh.
Well, and I'd like to throw in this product came out in mid 2016, so the pricing was a little bit more current than I think Mutual of Omaha, for example, had been last priced in 2013. And if you've been doing long-term care for any amount of time, you realize that is like an eternity in long-term care, right? So the product pricing is still pretty fresh. And then when we've sold Thrivent, they've always been pretty conservative in their pricing and their assumptions. And even when you look at those old blocks of business that they had with Aid Association for Lutherans and Lutheran Brotherhood, the predecessor fraternals that turned into Thrivent, the rate increases on those old blocks of business that they had were in the low double digits. They were very, very modest. When you compare them to other carriers that sold from 1987 on, when they got in, some of those other carriers, as you know, had high double digit, even triple digit increases over time. So Thrivent, pricing wise, we haven't been the cheapest product out there for a long time. So we've, positioned ourselves up till now really on company strength and benefits and features. Now we're also in this competitive spot as far as pricing. So I think it's a great story right now.
Yeah, and just, we have over 100,000 policies on the books that we manage. the rate increase that Craig mentions was only one time. So we haven't touched those blocks of business since 2003 and 4 when we, or actually it was 2005 timeframe that that rate increase happened on those old blocks, and they were 99% of our policyholders kept their policy.
Perfect. Perfect. A couple more questions. Is there a website to access for this information, or do you have to be contracted with Thrivent first? Well, Catherine, to answer part of it is we will be sharing this presentation, but what she's asking is everything behind an agent portal, or is there a public website?
For quotes and e-apps, things like that, you'll want to connect with Katie at Premier. She'll get you access to the IGO platform that they have. The illustration software is built right into the e-app, which is great because it saves you time because it pre-populates all of that. And if you use IGO for other lines of business, you're going to really appreciate how user-friendly it is and that you already know how to use it then. For forms and things like that, once you submit your contracting, you'll get access to a site that will provide you downloadable brochures, producer guides, underwriting guides. We've also supplied Premier with a lot of those, so I don't know what portal or resource you may have set up there, Katie, but I know we've provided a lot of the producer materials already. But I think those are the biggest things. So yeah, once you submit your contracting, you'll get access to a lot of this.
Perfect. Another one is, do you work with small groups?
We do not have a, what would you call it, Craig? Like an association discount. Yeah, we do not have that, and the list bill capability is not really the same as you would see with some of the other carriers.
And for the association discount, a multi-life platform, part of the reason is it would be very hard to implement something like that where everyone would meet that common bond requirement that Thrivent does have. Now, that being said, we can do some kind of more carve-out type things if you have some small family-owned businesses, for example, where everybody is going to meet that common bond requirement, and everybody does want to do like a 10-pay. We're not going to have a discount, but we can treat those more like a carve-out type situation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and we've done some of those, exactly.
Fantastic. One more question here is Thrivent now under Premier's? Oh, yes. Joseph, this is, as for Premier offering Thrivent, yes, we have offered Thrivent actually for a couple months now. And the second part of this is the long-term care. Okay, so the question is about Thrivent being a long-term care versus a life insurance policy. Do you guys want to take that, or I'm happy to address it too? I think what we're getting is this a hybrid?
Right. So this is a traditional standalone long-term care product. Obviously hybrids are popular nowadays, but no, this is a standalone product. Perfect.
The other question I have is, since this is a fraternal organization, are there any associations that you have to belong to, or do you have to pay an additional fee?
No, there is no associations to belong to or any fees to pay.
Perfect. Well, I think that we have answered the majority of the questions. If we did miss anything, please feel free to reach out to any of us here at Premier. We're happy to help where we can. If we don't have the answer, I am sure that Craig and Dean would be happy to help us out. Dean and Craig, again, thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
We will all be in touch. Everyone have a great day. Take care.